We really live in a city and we hurt. We go through stuff every day. Every day, this is the life. We deal with this every day, and just because we react, y'all wanna criticize us? Don't do that.
What I got to do in Ferguson, what I get to do when I'm reporting on the road is just listen to what people have to say. And I just talked to person after person in Ferguson who just had story after story of incomprehensibly petty humiliations at the hands of the cops. It's a hard emotion to subjectively access in this particular way if you are, like I am, white, relatively privileged, affluent. But at some level, we can all relate to humiliation. We've all been humiliated at different moments. We know that kind of like burning paralysis and impotence, the combination of kind of shame and rage. And that is just such a potent force. It's such a kinetic force in human life. And that really stuck with me. I think the political roots of why we created the system have to do with the aftermath of the civil rights movement. There was white political backlash brewing in the late 60s to maintain a certain sense of order and the social hierarchy. And then on top of that, you had riots, unrest, and the beginning of this big crime.
Get them up. Get your hands up. Let's go. The wave of crime is not going to be the wave of the future in the United States of America.
So that's the beginnings of the political subtext. To me, the emotional subtext, which powers that political message, is deeper. It goes back to something that is woven into the cultural DNA of the country, which is white fear. You know, the first diary entry of the captain of the ship that lands at Jamestown is, "We were set upon by the savages." The first moment. And that continues through the frontier. It continues to dominate the thoughts of the slaver class and the planter patriarchs of the antebellum South, who go to sleep every night in a house in which there are 40 slaves in the field, and they're protected from slave revolt only by the amount of terror and pain they can induce in those folks. So this idea of the fear of the conqueror, it seems morally perverse to talk about it because that's not the fear that should matter to us. But as a descriptive matter of the kind of politics it engenders and the powerful force, there's few forces more powerful in American politics than cultivating fear among a relatively privileged group of people. You are enriching political uranium when you do that. The presence of an actual increase in crime really does create genuine public policy problems. These are not like invented social fictions. It's not like a social construction that more people are being murdered. More people are being murdered, which is horrible. The period when crime increases starts around 1966 and goes to approximately 1991, 1992. Any social indicator that goes up by the amount that crime did during that period would demand a public response. And all of that produces the conditions under which politicians can come in and say, I hear your concerns and I'm gonna protect you and we're gonna reassert law and order. And that continues even as crime starts to come down. It keeps growing, and then you hit the inflection point in 1991, crime starts to come down, prison population keeps growing after that. And you could look at Gallup polling from 1991 all the way through 2014, where a majority of people are saying every year that they think crime went up last year. Year after year after year after year, during what is the longest statistical decline in crime in the country's history. We don't have one criminal justice system or one legal regime with disparities. We sort of have two distinct legal regimes. One that I call the nation, which is the kind of justice system you would expect in a liberal democracy, where police are sort of at the margins, you're not constantly interacting with law enforcement, constantly being asked for your papers or things like that. That's what a lot of people live in. It's what I live in, frankly. And then what I call the colony, which is a place that experiences a method of law enforcement and a kind of criminal justice system that you would associate with places that aren't democracies. It's very hard if you live in the nation to get your head around just how intrusive and how different the way the state operates is in the colony, which is a testament to the power of the form of politics that's appealing to this white fear.